Hey peeps, thank you for tuning in another episode of What's Your Brand Story podcast. Your host is Victoria here. So I have an amazing guest. I met this beautiful soul at a vendor opportunity out here in Savannah at Cosmic Corner. Shout out to Cosmic Corner. They are amazing. They're the best. And I just wanted to bring her on and talk about what she does, who she is, and how has her business transformed her on a personal level, because we're always in the space of growing and learning more about ourselves as well as the world. So thank you so much, Meghan, for coming on from Little Druid Stories. So tell us, who is Meghan? What do you do? And what sets you apart from everyone else?
All right, thank you so much for having me, Dials. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Little Druid Stories started as a little passion project back in my master's degree. Um, I was in a branding class and we were talking about logos and how to start an LLC and all of the nitty gritties that go into starting your own business.
Yep.
Um, and in that, I had been playing with what I wanted my brand to be up until that moment because I always knew I wanted to own my own business. But in that time, I had also solidified more of my own beliefs and hence the name Druid, in my own creative joys.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to create Little Druid Stories. And Little Druid is actually a character I've created. And she's this big.
That
um,
big?
yeah, that big. And she shows up in my logo. And she's in my first comic with that also hosts my cat, Lily.
Aw, cute.
Absolutely. So a lot of my brand comes from my experiences and my life around me.
Yep. We share that commonality because I'm the same way too. My brand and the stuff that I do is based on my experiences,
Mm-hmm.
things that I've been through in life. Because I feel like when you share your story and you're vulnerable, it actually evokes emotions and connects people more to you. Because it's like, here's
Absolutely.
a person trying, she's being real and honest, and I can trust her, you know? So,
And that's something I really do want to invoke. I like being a point of trust for people. You know,
mhm.
I want people to come up to me and tell me about their day, and we get to tangent into talking about art and creativity and um what I'm trying to
What you're doing, not
what
trying,
I'm
what
trying
you're
to
doing.
do. Exactly. Exactly. So it's been really fun getting to meet all sorts of people. I've found myself really drawn to the brick and mortar aspect of selling,
Mm-hmm.
because I get to make those connections. That really is what I want to portray with my art and my stories.
Mm-hmm. So where do you get your creativity from as far as like your art and your stories? Is it just life experiences, or are you the kind of person that you could be walking down the street and you see something and it sparks inspiration? Like, where does that come from?
It's honestly a mix of both. You know, it really started with I grew up in a place that was surrounded by nature and greenery, and that has been a huge influence on my life. Before I decided to be an artist, I really wanted to be a wildlife biologist. So that natural aspect of the world has solidified what I want to do with my art. But since then, I've started to see little things, you know, that while I drive, I'll see two people that are walking and they just have the most interesting outfits, and I see an entire world based around these two, and I'll just hit record on my phone, write a note, it's like describing the entire scene so I can remember it for later.
Oh, that's cool. Sometimes I do that too when I'm out and about, or if I'm grounding in the grass, or if I'm just out in Forsyth Park. Like, I'll
Hmm.
get an inspirational hit about like a service I should create, or a bracelet I should do, like a necklace or something. So I completely
Hmm.
understand that. There's a part of Forsyth Park, you know where the fragrant garden is.
Yes, yes, I
I
do.
like to sit in that area there and just sit and just chill, and that's just like a sacred spot for me. That's where inspiration comes in. So I completely
Absolutely. And
understand
that's
that.
I feel everyone has that capability of finding a spot where they're able to be their unequivocal self, you know, where they can just embrace the world around them. And I find most of those spots are within nature.
It is. For sure. Well, for me and you anyway.
Exactly, yes. My spot was down. I used to live in a little house on a side road in a tiny town where 2,000 people lived,
Only
and
2,000? That's it?
only 2,000. I lived on River Street. It was nothing like the one here in Savannah.
Okay.
Just just a regular residential street. But right next to it was the Williams River, and it was just honestly, you could probably call it a creek because you could go wade in it, and it was perfectly safe. But right there was my safe spot.
That's awesome. I just hope that everyone can find a safe spot and
Hmm.
one season in their lives or the other, because in seasons, life changes and things happen. So, what has been like seasons for you when it comes to like your business or like on a personal level, and how does that affect you when you're working?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I work a full-time job on top of a business that I also treat as a full-time job. Every day after work, I have to work on it at least a little bit. Otherwise, there will be no movement.
Completely get it. I completely
um,
get it. I did the 9 to 5 for about
hmm
20 years, and I walked away from corporate America in 2017.
Congratulations.
Wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
I imagine not. No, so it's been I noticed I'm a little bit of a workaholic. I like putting myself into these difficult situations where I have to grow, where I'm forced to grow. I'm comfortable with the uncomfortable, and I think that's a pretty powerful position to be.
Yep, that's true. I thrive in being uncomfortable, and I thrive off of
in.
like sometimes when shit ain't going right, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to fix this. Maybe I need to do that.
Right.
And just the most amazing things happen when that happens to me. So I understand about being comfortable in the uncomfortable, because
Mm-hmm.
it pushes you to like step outside your comfort zone, and it pushes you to do things that you would never want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely. And that is actually a huge philosophy that I carry into my art. Um, I notice a lot of people go through art block, and that usually comes after a moment where you felt very good about your art. And one thing I notice is that when you have art block, it's because you've experienced other people's art up until that moment. You don't stop learning. So your art perception has changed. You're still drawing the same way you were drawing those amazing pieces 3 months ago. But because your perception has changed, you don't view your art in the same way, and you're like, what can I change?
yep.
Those moments are incredibly important as an artist, where you have to take what you're learning and apply it to where you are. That's how you
Agreed.
grow as an artist.
So, would you say that's when you have those moments? Do you feel like the imposter syndrome pops in at that point in time?
Absolutely. There's no avoiding imposters. No avoiding it. Unless you have the biggest ego in the world, you're always going to think, am I good enough?
Yeah, I
And
understand. I get that.
at the end of the day, there's always going to be people that are more talented than you, more put together in some senses.
Hmm.
But your story is your story, and that is special and its own, and there is nothing else like it.
So, how do you shift your mindset as a creative when you have an imposter syndrome experience? Like, what's that like for you?
Um, I'm still figuring that out. I'm definitely still figuring that out. I find just creating, you know, doing art that doesn't have to be sold, doesn't have to make me any money. Reminding myself that the passion is still there. I think that's a big part of it. And taking the time to go back to basics. There's nothing wrong with doing some studies, doing some boxes, honestly, just to practice perspective. Um, and I think that goes throughout life. Sometimes you get really overwhelmed at work, and you just have to go back to the basics. Hey, go take a shower, go brush your teeth. Like, at least you got that.
Totally get that. So, what would you say? Like, do you have a tribe or community of people that are there for you, to encourage you, to empower you when you have those moments? Because I feel like as entrepreneurs, sometimes I feel like a loner, And sometimes I gotta be like, let me just reach out to my tribe for them to encourage me and empower me. Like, what's that like for you?
Absolutely. I actually have my partner, Jason. He's the best person I could ever ask for, genuinely, in both the personal aspect and business. He's a great assistant. You know, he listens to what I want with my art and how I want to approach it and how I want to introduce it to the audience, and he puts it up to 11. Not
Okay,
only that,
cool.
I have amazing
That's what's
friends from
up.
school, from work. My best friends, Jay and Amba, they're a couple, and they also have their own market, their own shop called the Jam Market, and they are immeasurable folks.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you shouted them out. That's what's up. See, that's a good friend.
Gotta do
So
it. Gotta.
how is yeah, for sure. I do that too sometimes with my people. Like, yeah, let me shout out such and such and such.
Yeah, I
So
never.
how has your business transformed your life on a spiritual level? What's that been like for you?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, the name Little Druid Stories, in and of itself has a spiritual connotation. Um, Druid is, a very old Celtic religion and practice, and genuinely means the protector of the oak, which I think is very fascinating. Finding here in Savannah, with all of the old
Yes.
oaks, they're beautiful here. If you haven't come to Savannah, come.
I keep trying to tell people to come to Savannah. They're like, why? I'm like, why not? It's a
Why
beautiful
not?
place.
Why not?
Magical.
It's a place to go. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful place to be.
it
Um,
is.
and I had always been spiritual ever since I was 12. I grew up in a household that was never, you could believe what you wanted to believe, and no one would really judge you for that. My mom grew up Christian, my dad grew up Jewish, but now my dad's atheist and my mom's spiritual.
Wow. That's like a whole jump.
Yeah. So I've been nurtured in a very fortunate way to be able to create my own belief system, and that's extended into Little Druid Stories. I don't try to in any means be overwhelming with it. I want to reach as wide of an audience as possible because I want my stories to help people escape from those heavy troubles that life brings.
Yeah.
I want there to be a story that ages, 5 to 95 can find comfort in.
That's
And
good.
yeah, I can't imagine any better way to leave my mark.
That's a beautiful thing, creating a powerful legacy that everyone can actually benefit from.
Right.
That's good.
It's ambitious.
I think it's a great goal. Like, that's something that I always want to do when it comes to my business and things that I do, is to create a whole powerful legacy that other people can benefit from. It doesn't matter
Mhm.
how old you are, who you are. It's just the messaging for me, try to like help humanity in itself. So that's what I'm saying. That's a powerful thing.
I,
Powerful thing.
I appreciate that. And I see I was talking to you before. I think it's amazing what you're doing, reaching out to businesses. This isn't a competition. I know there's plenty of places that treat it as a competition. We are all out here
Yeah.
to trying to
Yeah.
make it.
Exactly. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be community. It's supposed to be like,
Mhm.
compassion, empathy, and sympathy, and not just about, okay, well, you're a business owner and I need to be in competition with you. Like, no, like,
No,
we can
no,
all work together.
exactly. I think the most powerful businesses come from when people build themselves up, build each other up.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And that's the reasons why I started this podcast, is because I wanted to just like build other people up, knowing that I'm an entrepreneur. Sometimes it's a lonely road because you feel like other people don't understand and they don't know what you're going through, and they think you're crazy because you want to quit your job, or because you want to do this, or because you want to do that, or you have all these ideas.
Mm-hmm.
or you start something and it doesn't pan out, then you got to do something else. It's just a lot of different things. So to have a community, which I'm building with the podcast, is helping me as well, because it lets me know you're not alone by yourself. There's other
Absolutely.
people on the journey with you that are
Absolutely.
feeling the same way you feel.
Exactly. Exactly.
So speaking of which, what is your definition of a brand story?
That is a great question. That's a great question. Um, I think a brand story, it starts, I feel like it starts really early. I feel like it starts when you start discovering who you are.
Mm, agreed, 100%.
You know, and it's one thing to say, it's like, oh, it's when you signed up for your sole proprietorship or your LLC. That's where the brand story starts. But people are forming these ideals long before they
Mm-hmm.
know they want a business,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Agreed. Because I mean, you can have an LLC, an EIN number, the logo, the marketing, so on and so forth. But if you don't know where your story originates from, or what your business is,
Mhm.
or what the purpose and the mission is, then all of those other things, it holds no weight, because at that point you're just sitting here like in limbo, like what is my story?
Yeah.
What is it that I'm doing? Like how is this gonna benefit
Mhm.
humanity? So I like that. I really like
Absolutely.
that. I
For
haven't
me,
heard it spun like that before though.
yeah, for me, I think my brand story starts with me running in my backyard shoeless and just
Yes,
in the grass.
there you go. Good stuff. I like you said that, run in the backyard shoeless, barefoot, because I'm an avid person. I don't like shoes. If I
Mm-mm.
could wear shoes all day long, if there was no glass on the street, a girl be wearing no shoes
Absolutely.
whatsoever.
Absolutely. Oh,
For
there's
sure.
very many scars on my feet from sticks.
Well, yeah, me too. Me too. I remember I was in Belize and I was like 4 years old. And I was living with my grandparents, and I was in the yard, and I went to go pick up some habanero peppers because I thought they were candy, and I stepped in an ants mountain thingy, and yeah, it was real bad.
No.
So I had to run upstairs, and
Oh
my
no.
grandmother made some water and added sugar for me to drink to take away the hotness of the pepper from my mouth, and then she made some concoction to soothe my feet because they were burning from the red fire ants. And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
"That'll teach you a lesson to wear
Yeah,
to
right?
not be
Where
barefoot." But I still like it anyway. I still do it till this day. Till this day,
same.
it's something that I just do.
I know. Yeah, anytime I go grab the mail, it's right across the street. I don't need shoes.
Exactly. Why do you need shoes? Who thought up of shoes? Who came up with the idea of shoes? But yeah, good stuff. So the last question I have for you is, what is a compliment or a testimonial that a client has given you for your art? You're good.
Alexa decided to be very loud.
It's okay.
Could you ask that one more time?
Sure. What is a testimonial or a compliment that a client has given you based on your art?
Ooh, oh, that's a really good question. Most recently,
Hmm.
someone compared my paintings to that of Basquiat.
Oh wow.
I
You're like,
I
that's a huge compliment.
was like, goodness.
Hmm.
That was definitely one that took me back, and he is an incredible artist that I never would have dreamed been compared to, and he does invoke incredible emotions through
Yeah.
abstract colors and pieces, and I do have a similar ideal, so it's interesting. It's very interesting. Um, but beyond that, I think the biggest compliment is when someone reads my comic. I the little comic I have is Lily Nanigan. It was my senior thesis,
Hmm.
and all the copies I have, there are 12 copies that are hand bound, printed all by me. I put them all together, and there's only 12 copies.
Hmm.
Um, anytime someone reads that and then buys it,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
it's genuinely no words are needed for those moments. It took me so long to work on that, and it was such a passion project for me. It introduced little Druid as a character, it introduced my cat as a character, and it introduced the idea of this magic that is just beyond our backyard.
Yep.
Um, so anytime something like that comes, that really touches me.
It's a beautiful thing. I love the way you said magic beyond our backyard, because oftentimes when it's magic, people have so many different definitions of
Mhm.
magic. And so it is beyond our own backyard. It's just in the ethers, it's energy, it's everywhere.
Absolutely. And
And if
I think my general ideal with magic is that it is science that hasn't been figured out yet.
Yep, I agree 100% with that.
I
So,
think a lot of science is very magical. You know, the idea that water can freeze and also turn into a gas.
yep,
I don't know. If you didn't have a definition for it, I'd say that's pretty magical.
it is magic. Or if a person gets into, say, a car accident and a car
Mm.
is totally crushed, but they walk away with not a scratch at
But that
all.
scratch on them.
Yeah,
Exact.
that's
Exact.
magic.
Exactly. And different cultures have different definitions for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you tell everyone where they can find your artwork, all the things that you're doing, that you're what you're up to, so we can follow you and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can follow me on Instagram, Little Druid Stories. That's where I try to post most of my art.
Hmm.
Um, it sounds like I'm going to be starting a podcast soon.
Yeah, you will. Yep.
We'll see about that. Um, I'm right now we're working on volume 2 of the anthology Dungeons and Pets, which is about Dungeons and Dragons worlds, but with your pets. And it's a mixture of illustration and comics by multiple wonderful artists. Working on volume
Awesome.
now.
Awesome. I probably introduced you to my little brother. He does animation and cartooning, and he's so big. He's very, very big on like anime. He does stuff like Comic-Con. This boy has like the Joker in 5 different elements: Japanese samurai Joker, Dark Vader Joker,
Wow.
Gangster Joker, this Joker. And he's an amazing artist. Like my first tattoo that I got on my ankle, my brother actually designed it for me.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's awesome that way. So I'll make an introduction. So
yeah,
thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you. I love everything you're doing. Like I said, I'm out of time, but when I get back to Savannah, definitely we gotta meet up, have some coffee, something. We
I
gotta do
think that's
something.
spectacular. Thank you so much.
I,
Continue everything you're doing because it's wonderful.
oh, I appreciate that so, so very much. So yeah, we will be in touch. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that you loved everything Megan had to say. Please make sure you follow her on all socials. Purchase her artwork. She's an entrepreneur. We want to get her out that 9 to 5 so she can go and do this full time and be happy doing what she loves where it doesn't feel like work, because it's not work. It's a mission. It's a purpose. So make sure
Mhm.
that you follow her. All right, guys. Till next time, this is Victoria here. What's your brand story podcast? We will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.